Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 060. Today's another video on, I guess, the infotainment build that we're doing on the E53 X5. Now, I probably should do a playlist because I don't think I actually have done a playlist, and the stereos that are in these things are ridiculously complicated and just really too entwined into itself with all the different components by BMW, but I guess when they're in stock form they work fine, but when you start doing what we've done, it all does get a bit complicated. Anyway, I actually received the IBUS dongle yesterday. Now I have already installed it, and let me jump in the car and show you what it does. Now I've actually got the car running because I did get very sunburnt at the car meet that we had on the weekend, and I just can't stand in the sun, so I need the AC. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what we have here. Now, this is the Extrons unit that we installed a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully, I might. Actually, let me move. I'll find some shade so you can actually see that screen a little bit better. All right, guys, I found some shade under a tree, and hopefully we're not getting too many reflections in the screen. It's crazy how hard it is to film a high-gloss screen outside. Anyway, so this is the Extrons unit that I installed about 3 weeks ago in this car, and so pretty happy with it. There was one issue that I will talk about in the full review, and I will do the full review once I've had a bit more time with it. It wasn't a cheap unit, and I have got high expectations. I went with the Extrons because I had 3 different units in my old E53, and the Extrons was just miles better. And anyway, I'll get into it when the time comes. There's some parts of this unit that have been much better than I was expecting, and some parts have been meh. Anyway, the app, sorry, not the app. Well, yeah, the app. The thing I want to talk about in this video is this little app here, the IBUS app. Now, when you install an aftermarket stereo into an E53, whether it's an Android, Pioneer, Alpine, anything, you actually lose some of the features. The features are things like being able to control your timer, the stopwatch thing's gone, fuel consumption's the main one. You also can no longer set your time or date. You lose all of those features because they were done through the factory units, and obviously factory units not there. So what some clever gentleman has done, and I think it was Rolf Resler was the guy that did the first bit of work on it, and then this company's popped up called the IBUS app. They've actually developed this application that communicates with the vehicle's factory IBUS and gives you all those features back, and it's bloody brilliant. You literally cannot have an Android in one of these cars without this app. If you do, you are really missing out. Now, the way it works, well, actually, the factory stereo, hopefully you've seen the video where I explained how we did the install, but the factory stereo, all of the components talk to each other through the IBUS. Well, most of them do. So if it's controlling, the factory screen is controlling the stereo that was in the boot, that then connects to the CD stacker or the TV module or the navigation, and it all works on the IBUS. They send and receive commands to get everything working together. It's a brilliant system on BMW's behalf with the way that they can integrate everything. However, it does significantly overcomplicate the stereo. Anyway, this little unit taps into the factory IBUS. Now, the IBUS is going all through the car. There are IBUS wires everywhere. But what I do, now this looks really dodgy, and I haven't installed it finally. I'm not going to do the final install until I've got the reverse camera in. But what I do, the original screen wires, there's a white connector and a blue connector, and that's what was connected to the factory screen. And of course, it has an IBUS connector in it. And all it is, hopefully the GoPro picks it up, but it's pin 6 on the blue connector is the IBUS connection. So all I do when I install these little IBUS dongles is tap into the white and yellow wire, which is pin number 6, and then you just need power and ground. I use these T-taps. I know they're not brilliant. I've used it for all of the IBUS installs I've done. I've never had any issues, and it just makes it super easy to install, and you can unclip them if you want to take it out and move it onto a different car or something without too much faffing about. So once you've plugged it into the USB on the Android and it's got power, you can then open up the IBUS app and you are connected to the vehicle's IBUS. You do need to register your VIN number to give you full function, but one thing you can do to test it, if you want to make sure you've got your connections right before you pay for the app license, you will actually see engine speed without paying any money, so you know that your connection's working. So I think, in my opinion, when they actually started developing this app, and I first got it, I think it would have been around 2017 I got the IBUS app, and it was a pretty basic app. It didn't look like this, it wasn't orange, but it did give you the functionality back. And what they've done, they've given you the ability to reset consumptions. Oh, sorry, I've switched the format, but if you hold it, if you hold it properly, there you go, it'll actually reset, and then consumption 1 will be reset. Once we get through it, there, it's reset on the actual car. That's really good. very helpful, and it's giving you that function back. But they also display a little bit of information. Now, this being the X5 IS, it does have a slightly more interesting cluster than the normal ones, but even if you've got a base model X5, you will get all of these features up there. One thing I've never been able to get with any of the IBUS installs, I've never been able to get the oil temperature to work, and I was sort of expecting it to work on this car since we've got oil temp on the gauge. But yeah, I still haven't worked that out. Hopefully I'll get it sorted in the next couple of days. But it does show you handy things like whether the engine's warm. I mean, you shouldn't be thrashing your car whether it's warm or not, but it will show up a coloured block just to remind you not to be too aggressive on it before it's all up to temperature. Displays kilometres, not that helpful since you can just see it there. Voltage, I tend to use that a lot. I will, if I'm waiting for someone in a car park or something, I will sit there and I will be on my phone using YouTube or whatever, and it is handy to have a little voltage display if you want to check it quickly. Fuel level, goes without saying, handy, but not the end of the world, you can see it on the dash. RPMs, again, it's just nice seeing it there. And obviously it will display your speed. Now the speed, it will pull that data from, I think this one actually pulls from the IBUS, and this speed down here, we're doing 1 kilometre, I guess it's the tree confusing it, is actually GPS speed. And we're 22 meters above sea level. So it's a nice little window, and this is all quite customizable. I can remove the clock and the display down here as well. It's a nice little display to have when you're driving the car. And if I start playing music, actually, I'll see if it'll do it now. I'm sure because I'm messing around with it, it won't. But let me just play a song on my phone. Open up YouTube Music. There you go. And you also get a display on the dash cluster there. And as you go through the songs, actually, I'll just let that stop, because it will basically give you the full song title. Back to consumption. If I change the track, and this is going through Bluetooth on my phone, it will tell you the next song name. It's kind of cool. So it does little features like that. It's a nice thing to drive with, give you all the vehicle data, show you infotainment information, and you're good to go. And as I was saying before, this is really what this app was designed for. And the cost of the app, I think it was 22 euros for the license for this vehicle, and the dongle was about 30 euros to get it delivered from Germany down to Australia. So you're talking around that 50 euros, which about 80 Aussie-ish, 60 US, 50 pounds. I think it's money really, really well spent. Just for these features, just to be able to have that, just to see the track titles, it's bloody brilliant. But what they've done, obviously, over the years, it's quite a small company, and please keep that in mind if you do decide to purchase this. But because it's a small company, they really do listen to what their customers want. And the features they've added to it it's getting out of this world. Like, even, I haven't really used this app much in a year or so since I sold my X5, but the features they've added is really, really good. Okay, so that's how I drive. I'm just going to run through and show you some features quickly. And even when I was playing with it last night, activating the app, I found things that I didn't know existed, so maybe there'll be a follow-up in a little bit of time if people are interested. But the main things that I'm going to show you, control. Now, these are just the other features that you lose when you've deleted the factory unit. So you can set your timers, your aux ventilation on and off, fold the mirrors, set a speed limit, and there's also a panic button. Now, that panic, I think it's just to flash the lights. I've never actually used it, but that's it. It gives you some features back. You do get this PDC screen. Now, I think if you've got an Android, you're probably going to run a reverse camera, but if you don't want to bother with a reverse camera, it gives you a modern, like an E90, E60, basically the next generation PDC display. So as you go up near a wall, it will give you the radar signal of what's going on. On this display as well, it will show you things like when you've got your lights on. So I've just turned the park lights on. We'll go to headlights. Things like right indicator, you can see them flashing there. Left indicator. Oh. Weird. I think there's something going wrong with the lights. Maybe. We've had some issues with the lights in this car. It's crazy. And what else do I want to show you? Yeah, things like lights. If you open a door, that sort of stuff, it'll show you that the door's open. And it's just a nice little display. It does actually have that display down there at the bottom, but it is much smaller. You can see the lights coming on there. And again, with the indicators, left and right. If you do things like open the sunroof, hopefully it's picking it up. You can see the sunroof is open. That's just handy if you can just have a quick glance over and see if you've shut everything up. It does windows, doors, sunroof, just a little bit more information. And again, it's something that you get on the later models, but you don't get on the E53. So it just sort of modernizes the vehicle. Again, pretty cool little thing. They have added another window, which my old one never had. We now have this sport mode, which I think is really cool. And I've got full sport displays. So it'll tell me power, newton meters. Again, that's like an F series thing. Kilometers, water temp, oil temp. I've got to work out how to get the oil temp working, and of course RPM. Looking forward to have a play with that and just seeing what it's like to drive with. But yeah, they're adding features and I just think it's great. Now let's just have a quick run through some of the other things you can do with this app, things that are worth noting. Coding is understood. I promise not to blame anyone if I break the car. So we can actually control the light control module and the PDC module. So if you have... just read it for now. I'm not going to do any coding because I want to make sure it doesn't have any issues because I have recently changed that light control module. But you can add things like the way the hazard lights pulse at the moment is standard single pulse, obviously US side marker, so when you are driving all the time the indicators are at sort of half power. You can have it to run the lights when you get home, DRL on the high beam. There's so many features they've added to this, and it's, you know what, it's sort of like Carly for the later model cars, but you can do it all in this app, and it doesn't cost any extra to do that. The other great thing about this app, which mine's probably, it's not going to show it because I haven't paid for it, but you can also control the factory DSP in here, which is really, really handy. Light control module, update. Let's have a quick look through some of the settings because it will show you all the features and stuff that you've got. Now the general app settings, it is obviously getting the IBUS connection through that USB device we had at the back, and you can see that it's registered that it is the Rolf Resler IBUS interface. We're going to run it in English, obviously. You can change fonts. It does have a dark theme and a light theme. It's going to be how your eyes are sensitive or what your eyes pick up on, but yeah, I run it in the dark. I think it looks cooler. It will change between dark and light in different colors automatically if you want it to. And I've just checked, the song is, I'm going to stop the music playing because we don't need to play it. Okay. Music broadcast, now that's the feature where it's telling me what music's playing up on the cluster. Yeah, oh my god, there's so many features, things have changed so much. Onboard computer settings, engine warm-up settings, power settings. So this is where you set up how the power display works, so you can set it for the weight of the vehicle. If you do everything properly, you'll end up with a pretty accurate estimation of power, which is cool. Engine warm-up settings. Now this will actually show you a warning if, not a warning, but if the engine's not ready to be revved, you'll get a display that shows you don't rev me too much. We'll say it's an M model because yeah, it pretty much is. Oil viscosity, petrol, blah, blah, blah. That's all set nicely. We don't have more than 200,000 kilometers yet, but we're getting close. Progress bar transfer. Oh god, there's so much stuff in here. This is a brilliant app. I'm going to have to, again, get some time in this. Show track information on ABC. Oh my god. Huh. Do it at the bottom. So the OBC screen is... it's not... Oh, maybe if I play again. It plays the music. I've got some playing to do. So I've turned the track information off. Anyway, I thought I'd give you a quick look at the IBUS dongle. I'll put the information down below. Let me know if you've got the IBUS dongle and you've been playing with it lately. David hasn't used it in over 6 months because that's how long it's been since he's used his 540. But it looks like they have added some features recently, which is really good to see. It is a must-have if you've got an Android. This is going to be a quick part of the E53 infotainment upgrade series. Yeah, if you have any questions, let us know. I'm going to keep playing with this, and when I do the full Extrons review in a couple of weeks, I will also mention any of the other features of the app that I've got. But yeah, even just for this screen here, it is an absolute must-have, and I cannot stress that enough. For the money it costs, it is worth every single cent. Coolant temp, I love it. All right, guys, we'll end it off there. Thank you very much for watching. First video of 2021. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Yeah, I think we have a problem with this indicator. Left indicator's on. That one is not working. That's why we're getting that funny flash. Is the front one working? Yeah, front's working. Okay. All right, time to do the tail lights.